Ayo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Ace. This is Fantasized Football. We are back once again, bringing y'all some more fantasy football content for the 2021 fantasy football season. And I'm here today because it's Tuesday. So obviously, we got to talk about my favorite waiver wire targets for week 8 of the fantasy football season. But before we get into that, the main event, the meat and potatoes, a quick shout out to each and every one of y'all that come by on a weekly basis, showing your boys some love and support, helping the channel to grow. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. If you are new to the channel, though, welcome. Welcome to my humble abode. I do hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do at any point, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the fantasy football season. But like I was just kind of alluding to, I got my favorite waiver wire targets here for you guys for week 8 of the fantasy football season. We got everything from quarterbacks to the DST stream of the week, all the way to the deep sleepers. Make sure you stick around till the end of the video because some of these deep sleepers might be players that you want to target even if you're in more of a shallow league. As always, we're going to go through each of these players, and I'll give you guys a quick bit of reasoning as to why I'm adding them. But without further ado, we got a lot to talk about. Let's kick it off with my quarterback stream of the week, which is going to be Teddy Bridgewater of the Denver Broncos, currently rostered in 21.4% of leagues. So I like this matchup for Teddy. I'm not super high on Teddy as a whole. He's been okay to start the season, but as for fantasy, he hasn't been very exciting at least, but this is an exploitable matchup here against Washington. Washington has allowed 300 plus yards or 3 or more touchdowns in each of the last 5 games to the quarterback position. There's also a chance that Jerry Jeudy does return this week, which is obviously great for the Denver Broncos as a whole, but especially for Teddy Bridgewater. Having Courtland Sutton, Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, Javante's coming on a little bit more as a receiver out of the backfield. He's got the weapons. He's got a good matchup. So if you need to stream the quarterback position here in week 8, I would be looking at Teddy Bridgewater. He's got a matchup with Dallas in week 9 as well. So if you really needed to, you could realistically stream him for 2 weeks. But moving on from Teddy Bridgewater, we're going to hop on over to the running back position. And the player I want to talk about is Kenneth Gamewell of the Philadelphia Eagles, currently rostered in 26.3% of leagues. Now, if you do not have an immediate need on your roster this week, Kenneth Gamewell is absolutely my top priority. Absolutely. Absolutely. Go out and try to get your hands on Kenneth Gamewell. Why, you may ask? Well, first of all, Miles Sanders is obviously going to miss a little bit of time with this low ankle sprain. At least a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. So I do expect an increased workload for Kenneth Gamewell as well as Boston Scott, who we will get to a little bit later on. But Kenneth Gamewell saw 13 opportunities last week without Miles Sanders. We know he's already been involved a bit in the passing game, and I expect him to at least maintain that role and probably add in a little bit more work on the ground as well. So I think he's going to be a safe option, especially in PPR and half PPR leagues. The Eagles are a top 10 passing volume offense as well. So having that passing downs role here kind of locked in with Miles Sanders out of the picture, plus a little groundwork, if he's going to be somewhere in that 13 to 15 opportunities a week range, plus, potentially in good game scripts, whatever it may be. That's the thing, too, with Gamewell is he's not super game script dependent. If he's going to see work on the ground as well, if he's going to be seeing that passing down work, he's definitely a player you want to add. So he is going to be my top waiver wire priority, that being Kenneth Gamewell of the Philadelphia Eagles this week. But I do have another running back for you guys, and it is going to be Brandon Bolden of the New England Patriots, currently rostered in 5.5% of leagues. Now, it's kind of tough to predict who's going to be filling in this James White role on a week-to-week basis for the Patriots, but more often than not, it has been Brandon Bolden thus far this season. Last week, he saw 7 targets, converted it to 6 catches, 79 yards, and found the end zone, scoring a touchdown there in week 7. Now, the Patriots and Mac Jones do like to target the running back position. A running back has seen 5 or more targets in 6 out of 7 games this season. So PPR formats, you can't get your hands on Gamewell. You need a little help at running back. I would be looking at Brandon Bolden here in week 8. But moving over to the wide receiver position, the first player I want to talk about is Russell Gage of the Atlanta Falcons, currently rostered in 9.8% of leagues. Now, he had not played since week 2 where he saw 7 targets, this being Russell Gage, but he came back last week. He saw 6 targets, 4 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown in his return. Now, obviously, he's playing here in a pass-happy Atlanta Falcons offense with Matt Ryan at the helm, who's been turning it on a bit more lately. There's Kyle Pitts, there's Ridley, there's Cordarrelle Patterson, and then there is Russell Gage. I think there's enough volume to go around for everyone. Could he be a little bit boomer busty? Yes. But in 2 out of 3 games this season that he has been active, he's seen 6 or more targets. So if the role is going to be there, 6 to 8 targets a week, 5 to 8 targets a week, he's at least worth an add if you need help at the wide receiver position. But another player at the wide receiver position that I really like this week is going to be Christian Kirk of the Arizona Cardinals, currently rostered in 31.2% of leagues. Now, Christian Kirk's been a little bit boomer busty to start the season, but he's actually had a very solid start to the season. He's had 10 or more half PPR points in 4 out of 7 games this season and 5 or more targets in each of the last 3 games. So there is some sort of a role here for Christian Kirk on this offense. He is a little bit touchdown dependent because the volume hasn't been super consistent, but I do think he's at least worth an add for fantasy football. Now, he's got a matchup here with Green Bay in week 8. This is a game where I expect a lot of passing volume on both sides of the ball. These are 2 high-octane offenses, so I think Christian Kirk has a great opportunity here. You can slot him in right away as a flex if you really need to. Now, the last wide receiver I have to talk about here is Darius Slayton of the New York Giants, currently rostered in 11.2% of leagues. Now, Darius Slayton came back from injury here in week 7 and saw a season-high 9 targets. He's seen 6 or more targets in 3 out of the 4 games that he has been active. Now, Darius Slayton does have that big play upside. This is a team as well that is going to have to throw the ball quite frequently, especially with Saquon Barkley out. They're going to be more leaning probably on the passing game because of not only the game scripts, just because of the lack of production at the running back position as well. Devontae Booker has been solid, but he is no such stud. So these Giants receivers are definitely guys that you want to prioritize. Sterling Shepard, Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney have all been banged up. Darius Slayton is healthy. He is ready to go now. Coming off a season-high 9 targets, I think it is a great time to go out and add Darius Slayton if you need help at the wide receiver position. Now, moving on from the wide receivers, we're going to hop over to tight end. It's just ridiculous, man. I'm sick I just don't want to even talk about tight ends anymore. I just don't want to. It's just ridiculous. Like in the future, guys, gals, everybody, listen, y'alls, just draft like a top 5 tight end. Just bite the bullet. Just do it. You know, I used to be a tight end streamer back in my youth, but I'm just drafting tight ends from now on. I'm not playing around anymore. I don't want to deal with this. Because you know who I got for you? I am once again here telling you to add CJ Uzama. CJ Uzama. I don't know. But he scored in 3 out of his last 4 games. He's been an end zone threat. He's been a red zone threat. He has 5 touchdowns in this last 4-game span. He's clearly got some sort of connection with Joe Burrow around the red zone. So it's kind of one of those situations where it's touchdown or bust. But if you need help streaming the tight end position, whatever, throw CJ Uzama in this week. He's got a matchup against the Jets here in week 8. I do expect the Bengals to be in a lot of scoring positions here in this matchup. I think it's going to be a big game for the running backs for Joe Mixon. Samaje Perine may be even involved a little bit there, so we're in a deeper league. Don't got him into deep sleepers, but Samaje Perine might be someone you might even want to look at. I just thought of that. Look at that, right at the top, Johnny. Right at the top there. But I do think this is a good opportunity for CJ Uzama once again to find the end zone this week. So if you need help at tight end, go out and make sure that you're adding CJ Uzama. He's going to be my stream of the week at the tight end position. But speaking of streams of the week, it's that time. Oh my God. My allergies are so bad. I don't know about y'all. Let me know down in the comments. Is spring allergies or fall allergies worse for you? Because the fall is just horrible for me. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. It is god-awful. I took Claritin this morning. I'm still beat up. But anyways, I digress. DST stream of the week, baby. My DST stream of the week. This is an easy one. We're going to stick with the Bengals. Just talking about CJ Uzama, stream the Bengals defense as well this week. Currently rostered in 23% of leagues. I don't know if I mentioned with Uzama, he's rostered in 10.1% of leagues. If I didn't, there it is. Whatever. He should be available most anywhere. But the Bengals DST, they have a matchup here against the Jets. The Jets have scored under 20 points in 4 out of 6 games this season. This Bengals defensive unit is much much improved as well. You have Zach Wilson out. We're either going to see Mike White or Joe Flacco this week. They just traded for Flacco. Who knows if he's going to be ready to go, if he's going to be up to speed and ready to go. So it's either going to be Mike White or Joe Flacco. Either way, I think this is a great opportunity for the Bengals to have a very big game in terms of their fantasy production for their DST. The Bengals have held teams to under 25 points in every single game this season as well. They have been a good defense. In 4 out of 7 of those games, they have held teams to 17 or less points. They're playing the Jets here. The Jets are a turnover-prone team as well. Hopefully we see an interception, a fumble recovery, whatever, a defensive touchdown, a lot of sacks, whatever. Either way, I expect the Bengals to be very productive here this week. So if you need to stream a DST, I'd be looking to go out and add the Bengals currently rostered in 23% of leagues. Now, time to move over to the deep sleepers, right? And here we go again with something I hate to do. The quarterback streams at the deep sleeper portion, right? Because a lot of fantasy managers roster 2 quarterbacks. But the player I'm going to go with is Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. I know, I'm crazy. I'm nuts. I don't even care. He's currently rostered in 6.5% of leagues. He's got a matchup here against Philly, who's allowed 297 yards and 2 or more touchdowns to quarterbacks in 3 out of their last 4 games. I expect a lot of pass volume in this game. Philly is not the best defense. Like I just mentioned there, they have been letting up big numbers to the quarterback position over these past few weeks. So if you need to stream the position, do it at your own risk. Go ahead and go with Jared Goff. If Teddy Bridgewater is available, obviously I'm prioritizing him over Jared Goff. But if you're not feeling Jared Goff, if you're a little scared, I don't blame you. My pivot option would be Mac Jones of the New England Patriots, who is currently rostered in 13.8% of leagues. I'm not going to go into too much detail on him. I'm scared of the matchup against the Chargers for him, but he is coming off of his best game of the season. So in a deeper league, Jared Goff, Mac Jones, whatever. Also, food for thought, if you are in a deeper league, a 2QB league, a super flex league, you might want to go and check if Tyrod Taylor's on your waiver wire. I think he was rostered in like 2.5% of leagues because I looked at him a little bit there. I don't know if he's going to be back this week or not, but the coaching staff did say he is going to have that starting job, so he is worth an add in deeper leagues, especially Superflex and 2QB leagues. But moving on, we're going to go over to the running back position, and that is going to be Boston Scott of the Philadelphia Eagles, currently rostered in under 1% of leagues, just 0.7% of leagues Boston Scott is rostered in. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I talked all this stuff with Kenneth Gamewell, but obviously Miles Sanders is going to miss some time, so I expect there to be an increased workload here for Boston Scott and as well as obviously for Kenneth Gamewell. Probably see a little bit more work on the ground from Boston Scott. Maybe he sees those goal line opportunities. Kenneth Gamewell kind of splitting carries. So I do think he's at least worth an add here. He's got a matchup against Detroit as well, like we just mentioned with Jared Goff. So this is an opportunity for him to have a big game if the Philadelphia Eagles do get out to an early lead or end up in kind of like a run-heavy game script. So you can pick him up. You can slot him in right away as kind of a flex if you're in a deeper league, 12, 14, 16-team league, whatever it may be. I think Boston Scott's kind of worth an add anywhere, right, if you need help at running back, because he is definitely going to see some increase in terms of his workload. If he's getting 12, 13 touches a week, him and Kenneth Gamewell are the only 2 guys there, so I expect them to just kind of handle the majority of the workload. I don't know who else they have that they can throw in there for a couple touches, but I expect Boston Scott probably to be at least somewhere in that 10 to 12 touch range. And like I said with Kenneth Gamewell, probably somewhere in that 13 to 15 touch range on a week-to-week basis. Now, moving over to the wide receiver position, we have Allen Lazard of the Green Bay Packers, currently rostered in 4.9% of leagues. Now, I almost moved Allen Lazard up, but I decided to leave him here, right? Because Davante Adams is now more than likely out. They have a Thursday night game, and he tested positive for COVID. It's very unlikely that he's going to be able to clear a positive test before Thursday night if he just tested positive Sunday, Monday, whatever it was, right? And Allen Lazard's kind of been like getting it going a little bit more. He's found the end zone in each of the last 2 weeks. He's seen 5 or more targets in each of these last 2 after not exceeding 5 targets at all this season prior to that. And obviously with Davante Adams out, there should be some increased volume for Allen Lazard. Aaron Rodgers has to throw the ball to somebody. He has a matchup with Arizona here in Week 8. This is a game that I expect to see a lot of pass volume on both sides of the ball. Maybe, honestly, if anything, more so on the Packers side, because without Davante Adams, the Cardinals very well could get out to an early lead, and the Packers just have to play catch up. So definitely go out and prioritize Allen Lazard in deeper leagues. Hell, even in more shallow leagues, I do think Allen Lazard is definitely worth an add. He's got Kansas City He's got Kansas City. He's got Kansas City and Seattle. And the next two matchups after that, all good matchups. Arizona, Kansas City, Seattle. Go out and get yourself a little piece of that man, Lazard, all right? Jeepers crow, man. All right, listen, it's time to move on, and I'm just going to do it again. Let's talk about a Lions receiver, right? We do this like every week, every other week. Khalif Raymond. Once again, I'm here telling you to pick up Khalif Raymond. Currently rostered in 5.9% of leagues. But no, seriously, over 100 yards last week in week 7. He's had 7 and 8 targets in the last 2 games. This is a team that is going to be in a lot of negative game scripts, a team that is going to have to throw the ball very frequently in order to stay competitive. We've seen it week in and week out. This team stinks. Jared Goff stinks. This organization stinks. They stink. But that is good for the pass catchers because they have to throw the ball a lot. We've seen it with Swift. We've seen it a little on and off with Hawkinson, right? And now it looks like Khalif Raymond is kind of stapling himself in as kind of the 1A in this offense. So I do think it is a great time to go out and add Khalif Raymond. He's got this matchup like with Philly, like we've talked about a few times now. Gamewell, Boston Scott, Jared Goff. We talked about it a few times here with this matchup against Philly. It's a good matchup. I expect a lot of pass volume. You need help at wide receiver, go out and get your hands on Khalif Raymond. Now, moving over to tight end. It's a wasteland. It's a wasteland. We hate it here, but whatever. Moe Ally Cox, big dog. Big dog, Moe Ally Cox. Go on and pick up Moe Ally Cox. He's rostered in 13.7% of leagues. You know what? I honestly should have just flipped him and CJ Uzomah for the sake of this, but listen, tight ends, quarterbacks, under 15% of leagues, I'm fine with. Uzomah was rostered in 10%. I don't know, man. It's kind of a toss-up. Whatever you want to do. Both of them are very, very touchdown dependent. Very, very touchdown dependent. But Moe Ally Cox definitely does have a nose for the end zone, as does CJ Uzomah. He's had 4 touchdowns in these past 4 games. He's got Tennessee, the Jets, the Jacksonville Jaguars for his next 3 matchups. These are all matchups for Moe Ally Cox where he should at least have an opportunity to score. These are games where I expect, going up against porous defenses. In the case of Tennessee, that's a good offense. Probably a high-scoring game. The Jets, I expect the Colts to probably blow them out. But then the same thing with the Jaguars, right? These are all matchups where Moe Ally Cox very well could score. So if you need help at the tight end position, you're in a deeper league, CJ Uzomah, Moe Ally Cox, you're in any league, I don't know, man. Tight end is a wasteland. We hate tight end. Just draft a good tight end. Draft a top 5 tight end in the future. Draft them. That is it. That is all there is. That is my waiver wire targets here for week 8 of the fantasy football season. I do hope you guys had a great weekend. You smashed your fantasy matchups and you did enjoy today's video and it helped you to decide what you were going to do with your waiver priority, with your fab this week here in week 8. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the fantasy football season. Drop your starts and questions in the comments below for later on this week. Any other questions you may have, make sure to follow my socials down in the description below as well. But that is it. That is all. That is all there is. Me, my boy, we are done for today. We will catch y'all next time. And as always, thank you. Love you. Peace.